Hi everyone, I welcome you all to our tech podcast series. And today I'm Chavi, a podcaster of the day. And yes, we are we are again back with our entrepreneur's journey, right? With that note, I would be very happy to welcome Zunder to our podcast. He is currently the co-founder and CTO of OpenTurf, and also when it comes to his experience, he has been a great part of the corporate industry. So, with that note, I welcome you, Zunder, to our podcast series. How are you doing?
Yeah, thanks, Shavi, for having me. Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah.
Great, good to know that. Whenever it comes to like entrepreneurs, what I really love to know that how you actually started. What was that point when you thought, okay, I want to just shift my whole career from just being a 9 to 5 employee to being a co-founder and like because being a co-founder, it's a 24/7 job. So, would love to know how you started and what was the whole thought process behind it.
Yeah, actually, my career has been around building products, mostly in the telecom side of things. So, suppose you have used a phone, you would have kind of used stuff built by me. You wouldn't realize that, but actually, whatever we built has been in the operator network for long. So, if you have sent a message or browsed the internet or made a call, we would have built stuff that you are using. So, I used to be the CTO of Mahindra Comviva, which kind of provides the telecom side of software infrastructure products. Yeah, in 2015 I quit and started OpenTurf. I mean, the motivation was, I mean, it's I was thinking it I was doing more of the same. Okay, it kind of was not fun anymore. Okay, but yeah, I mean, we need to have some fun stuff, I would say. And kind of ventured into building products. We built for the first 2 years product for the airline industry, which was kind of I would say, you can view your whatever like OTT that you are viewing, you can view on a view on your phone in an aeroplane. It's a closed loop streaming system, but that didn't take off. Okay, we learned our lessons hardly. Okay, that didn't take off, and we had to shut down the product. And actually, we moved to consulting after that. Okay, so 2 years it was. I mean, even despite all the experience, it was I would say a colossal failure to start with, and that was our biggest lesson. We learned two things. I mean, basically, the content market which we are not used to is very difficult market for a startup, and getting a certification in an airline is was more extremely difficult. So these were the two lessons for us, and we thought we didn't have a runway to go further. And after that, we kind of for a lack of a better word, we pivoted to, I would say, consulting. And then only we came out with what we call as the virtual technology office. That's what OpenTurf focuses on, building products for others. That's our kind of why I started is it was because it was more of the same, and I thought it, if I don't do it, at least what I was at the core, if I am not determining now, I wouldn't be able to determine at any time. So that was the motivation. And after that, it was hard lessons learned the hard way. And then now it's been, I think, going is kind of all right.
I can feel that because obviously there are a lot of things that you learn with the startup, and obviously, uh, someday you will feel so low, and someday you'll be like, okay, things are going perfect. So there is always ups and downs which comes with the startup. That's glad to know. So moving with that, would love to know one thing from you when it comes to open tough. There's one thing which was coming in my mind that how have we actually pioneered the Lego blocks approach, and would love to know that how it is into the picture.
Yeah, see, the typically when we build any kind of software, I mean, what at least the SaaS platforms now it's kind of you have everybody giving you infrastructure as a service, somebody giving you platform as a service, somebody giving you software as a service. Kind of, if you see all this software, kind of, if you take all this kind of software, there are some common things always in this. Okay, suppose you would have used many systems yourself, you have a login kind of coming in. Okay, you will have a dashboard kind of coming in, you will have your reports, you will have some kind of insights about you, or the platform usage and other things. So we take all these common elements and all these Lego blocks. The other people call it as a low code no code platform, but what is different about this Lego block approach is we completely give this code to the customer. All these blocks, what we call as useful to the customers in building a SaaS platforms, we have identified, and we give these blocks to our customers along with the code on a non-exclusive basis. That means the customer can take the code and kind of improve on it, and we can also continue to improve on it. Okay, so that's how there is the differentiator. We don't hold the code to ourselves, because at some point of the time, enterprises demand that they would like to want the code for themselves. That's how our focus is on, mostly I would say mid to large size enterprises. They want to own the IP at some point of time and take it forward. So what we are kind of giving is, for any kind of application development, we give a head start, because we know in any application any enterprise develop, these are some 10 things always required. Okay, so that's what we call as Lego blocks. That blocks can be kind of fitted by the enterprise in any form they want. Okay, so that's the one differentiator, is that we give the code along with it. Okay, that's the only differentiator, I would say, and we keep improving it. As the improvements come, we share it with the customer. If the customer wants it, they can take it, but they are free to run with it. They are not tied to us in any form. Okay, that's the, I would say, the differentiator of a Lego block approach to, I would say, platform building.
Yeah, that was actually fabulous, and I really love the explanation as well. Now, moving with that, obviously, like whenever it comes to technology, we all want to know what will be the perfect tools to grow a company, right? So, uh, while coming across various things, like there's one thing which is intelligent data processing. Okay, would love to know some insights from your side that how it is a good and useful tool when it comes to company growth.
So intelligent data processing, see, it kind of, I would say, it's necessary, because it gives a, I would say, again, niche, I would say, a cliche. If I have to repeat, it gives a 360-degree view of your customer, right? I mean, that's the most important thing about data. I mean, it kind of, but what happens is, before that, we need to have a place where there is something called as a single source of truth. Okay, so what is one source of truth that will, I mean, help us in our intelligent data processing? So intelligent data processing involves many steps. One is kind of, you kind of take the data from the sources that you get. It could be in many forms. For enterprises, it could be the many social media platforms or the web. Many forms they get the data, but they need to identify from all these sources the customer and harmonize that data. Okay, so, and harmonizing that data and arriving at a single source of truth, and break down the silos within the organization. Okay, I mean, because many people, I mean, if you go to a bank, I mean, you would have experienced an interaction with any bank. Even now, you take the bank. Okay, if you go as a, I would say, a customer of a savings bank, and you want to have a credit card bought from the same bank, they will ask you the same 101 questions again. But they have all information about you today also, right? I mean, that's what is missing. So that single source of truth about, because I would say the enterprise has silos. They kind of divide. I mean, it's a different division. But for the customer, it's simple, plain irritation. Okay, on managing that data. I mean, again and again giving the data. So I would say intelligent data processing has to look at the single source of truth, has to look at, I would say, from the customer point of view, what makes sense, has to kind of eliminate the noise within the data. There are too much data which you don't need, or the enterprise doesn't need, and that can be eliminated. And the fourth, I would say, now it's more important, I wouldn't even place it before, the security. I mean, who sees the data and how it is seen, and what aspects of the data are seen. This all becomes very relevant, I would say. But any enterprise has a very long way to go to in intelligent data processing. I mean, I can tell you hundreds of examples where it's not done rightly. Okay, because I am yet to see something which is done rightly. I mean, for example, you, if you buy something from, I would even say, take an example of Amazon. Okay, I mean, they will send the same offer again. If you are, even if it doesn't matter if you have just bought it 5 minutes back, you will get another mail saying there is an offer going on. They don't have information about, okay, I am the person who has bought that product 5 minutes back. Can something else be done? No, I will not get that. I'll kind of get the same offer. Okay, there is an offer going on. Okay, it's kind of, I would say, mindless blasting is what is happening. It's more of, I would say, people want more numbers than the impact what those numbers make. But I think the things are will get better is my view. I wouldn't say it is better, frankly. So the thing is, to arrive at a single source of truth and have harmonized data across the organization is the most important thing.
Exactly, and I totally agree with that point that people are just jumping in this race that okay, we want quantity, not the quality.
Yeah.
So, like at that thing, like various companies just lose their customers' trust and that what they have built, the value as well. With that, is there any experience that you would love to share? your previous experience when you realize that okay, people are just working on quantity, not the quality?
No, we have kind of, I would say, made some efforts in personalization. Okay, I think
Hmm.
the organization knows who is the buyer, but I think, in my view, there is a race within the organization on who has to attract that buyer, right? So it's, I mean, that silos within the organization doesn't help them to categorize data and address that individual as one single person. The individual is treated as somebody by X department, somebody by Y department, and there is no harmony. I mean, I can take even example. I mean, I struggle with Google right now. I mean, as a company itself, I mean, I mean, I take Google email, I take Google domain, I take Google workspace. All three are different, and if I have to approach somebody in Google, I mean, it's a nightmare to approach them. I mean, Google being Google, they will know it's one Zunder, right? I mean, there is only one person Zunder here, as from OpenTurf, who is representing, and he can be treated as one unit. They treat me as three units, which is frustrating for a user. So while they do a great job in search, but while it comes to their own cloud, I mean, I would say they have a long way in treating an individual as once. The 360-degree view is just spoken, it's not acted upon, is my submission. And with the tools and technologies in place, I think it's possible. I think it's only the will that the organization has to put in to ensure that happens.
That's so true. And now moving with that, like we are talking about quality, quantity, and let's talk about automation because, like somehow I personally feel like that with automation things are easy, but like people are losing the essence of quality with that. So would love to know some uh, insights from your side.
Yeah, definitely automation helps. I'll tell you an example of what we are doing for some person that may give you some clarity. Okay, see, we are doing a document extraction service for a large company. Okay, what we find is we can't automate all the 100% of the documents because the documents come in various formats. Any AI engine or any extraction engine cannot automate everything. So what we kind of have is something called assisted AI. Okay, so what happens is when a document, you can automate at least 80% of the process or 90% of the process. The 10% of the process still, despite any technology use, will need human intervention. Okay, so that's what we call assisted array. So in a workflow, what happens is the documents are extracted, the fields are filled up, but there is a human intervention who says, okay, who has the checks and balances to ensure that that quality of processing that document is met. Okay, and there is somebody who is signing off on that. Okay, this data is valid, so that we don't, it's not mechanical, we don't lose out on I would say the noise. I mean, remove the noise and we take only what is necessary, and we feed back into the AI cycle. So the next time around, the AI engine knows that. But whatever automation we do, I personally feel there has to be a certain element of human intervention. That's what we call it as assisted AI. Okay, so we kind of do the, I would say, the machine learning, the AI, and give it to a human, intelligent human, to process it and finally say sign off on it. So automation is required, solves problems, but it is not the, I would say, the panacea for everything. Okay, it has its challenges in the space. Some space you take, but it's always good to approach things with automation, but there has to be the necessary checks and balances. Even, I mean, even in an engineering life cycle, there has to be essentially checks and balances, not only in the, I would say, business application life cycle. Even for a development life cycle, we say continuous integration, continuous delivery, but there has to be some checks and balances which ensures, I mean, we are shipping the right thing. Okay, so I mean, if you would, I mean, to an example, if I take a programming example, I would say you get sometimes mails from some large organization saying, dear username. There will be username only. Okay, your name will be forgotten because somebody did forgot to take the metadata out and put your name. So it will have dear username. I mean, that this has happened in even mails from company like LinkedIn. Okay, so I mean, it's large company, but this is the trouble of automation if you miss out on certain checks and balances.
That was so true, and I really love the way you shared the insights with great examples. Now, moving with that, uh, talking about automation, how can we forget about like this thing that people are talking about, work from home? They are loving with that, but there's also one thing which adds on into the picture, which is virtual technology office. Right. So, what is this particular model is all about, and how is it working in the present time?
So what we call was virtual technology. I mean, basically, we so some people have a product requirement. They need a product to be built. Okay, but they necessarily don't have the engineering bandwidth to build that product. I mean, that's what. So what we do is take the product. I mean, assign a what we call as a virtual CTO. Okay, to that product. Okay, to that product, and kind of help ensure that vCTO remains throughout the product till the delivery is made. Okay, so that's what we kind of take the product, assign a vCTO and a team to the vCTO. The team can be from OpenTurf or team can be from the customer, but the integrity of the delivery, complete technical delivery, is on the vCTO. That's why we call it as virtual technology office. What happens is, I mean, the kind of customers that we have is slightly, I would say, they have a roadmap to be done, but they don't have immediate bandwidth because they want to do their bread and butter business. Okay, and they want to kind of add a, I mean, version 5.0 or 6.0 they want to add. So they kind of give it to us. We kind of build it, operate, build it and transfer it to them. Sometimes we do a build, operate and transfer also. Okay, so this is one kind of vCTO office is what we call it, where you the nothing, you are not invested in a fixed team. I mean, you kind of only you are invested in the team for the duration of the project. After that, it comes back to you, so that you meet your goals, that your roadmap development is also done and your existing deliveries are not affected. So that's the concept of a vCTO. It's like, I would say, it's like any other cloud system. You say elastic compute, you say you switch on and switch off, you bring up instances and we bring up instances down. So when you need an engineering team for delivering, you just start us, and then when you say you are done, you just switch us off. That's how it works. I mean, it's scale up and scale down on demand, and it kind of proves to two setups. I mean, companies which wants to do some experiments, okay, for in specific spaces like Web3, somebody wants to do something but they don't have the Web3 expertise, they come to us for that, getting that expertise, because to build, to find people to build that thing, and it will take time for them. But if they come to us, we kind of build it, show that POC and give it back to them along with the IP is always the customers. IP is never ours. Okay, the intellectual property always belongs to customer. So for them, it's a kind of, they also get that IP in a short amount of time without wasting. I mean, what we give is two things. I mean, which time to market and the quality of the delivery is what we give. And there is nothing, you don't need a, I would say, lifelong relationship with us. You can switch us on off when you desire. Okay, that's the flexibility VTO office.
That was actually amazing to know, and I guess that people would love to understand this model and implement with their company. Now, with that thing, I would love to know your any plans that you want to share of future of the growth of the company with technology.
Technology, I would say we kind of, I mean, it's close to 30 years we are building products. So, I mean, the one struggle we have within our organization is should we focus on a niche or should we be broad based? Frankly, we are broad based now. We are not niche because we can solve problems in COBOL to Web3. Okay, so that's the, I mean, that's a lot of gray hairs help us achieve that, because we focus on solving problems for our customers. So if we get into a niche, which makes our positioning very good. Okay, if it's not difficult for us to get into a niche, but then we have to say no to many customers, and frankly, we are not at that size where we can afford to say no to very many customers. We want to, I would say, survive, grow at a rate. So we want to solve as many problems as we can. But having said that, we want to kind of there are small, I would say, mini teams working on some things on Metaverse, something on Web3. Too early for us. We do these experiments. So 10 experiments we do, one may succeed, but we enable these experiments. That's what we are doing on the technology side. We are doing some, I would say, interesting, very little interesting things on the Metaverse, where you can see a showroom in, I mean, VR, AR, using a VR headset or something like that. Kind of doing, but it's too early stages. And first, our focus will be, even for next 1 year to come, it will be broad based. Having said that, but there are like 2 to 3 member teams working on specific technologies that are upcoming, and we'll continue there. Like 5G, we do some things we are done. We will be doing some things in 5Gs. We'll be doing something in VR, and Web3 will definitely be doing some things. That's our plan.
That's actually great. And like according to you, will metaverse, this AR, VR is going to boom in the future, or after some time, like after a decade or so, people will just forget about this?
Very interesting thing. I think, well, personally speaking, I'm not a believer in both Web3 or Metaverse or anything. But I'll say this. I mean, I'll be very brutally honest. I come from that kind of background, so I'll tell. See, people have budgets. Those budgets have to be utilized, right? I mean, and people have to showcase what's new you have done this year, right? And when that those budgets are to be utilized and done, they'll do these niche things. Whether they'll be useful at scale is a matter of, I mean, only time can answer that. I am not I would say I can't foresee in the future and say what's whether this will be at scale. I'm not that kind of person who has that kind of vision, to be very honest. But people have budgets, and we are here to ensure that they spend their budgets. That's how I would see it as.
Okay, that was actually a fun, like answer, I would say, because see, I also agree at that point that Web3 is something that not everyone believes, but when it comes to tech part, people, like everyone has their own views on it. So I'm also
Yeah,
looking into
especially, yeah, sorry. See, Web3, I heard it from an IIC professor. Actually, he gave the best answer for it. Okay. Web3 has a solid technology backing. I mean, technology
future.
stack backing it. Okay. Its foundations are solid on technology. But like how Netscape or Mosaic or HTTP popularized the TCP/IP, the protocol underlying everything that you do on the internet today, Web3 also needs an application that will popularize that underlying stack. TCP, nobody understands TCP/IP. TCP/IP is this, I mean, a complete thing behind what's happening today, right? And that was popularized because a Mosaic-like browser came up, and we all started using it. Now nobody realizes what's happening underlying it, right? But that's the internet is scaling because the foundations are so strong. So the professor said the Web3's foundations, the technology foundations are so strong. We need only an application which will popularize it. So we are all waiting for that application. We don't know where it will come from. That's the, I would say, I can give us relate with an example that way.
Exactly, I also agree with that point. Now, before concluding this podcast, what I really love, my all-time favorite thing is want to have some advice from your side to the budding developers and also to the like people who have already stepped into their corporate journey for tech, how they should be going with the trends which are going on.
I mean, it's again, I mean, it's the answer is easy. I would say, I mean, never stop learning. I would say, I think, I mean, today also, I mean, like if you take, like, I mean, you would have read recently also, an engineer today, a normal engineer, and an engineer who understands AI. There is a, I would say, definitely a 1.5 to 3x difference, right? If you know, I mean, if you know how to use GitHub Copilot or a Chat GPT to generate your template code or a baseline code, right? You will be your productivity will be faster, and you get more time to do whatever you would like to do. So, but unless you invest time and you kind of, I mean, nobody in the enterprise or in any organization is going to kind of advocate you to go and do this, right? But it's your curiosity that you have to keep alive to ensure, I would say, that you have to know what's happening around you and how you can take that and apply. I would say, I mean, even in our organization, we have given everyone a Udemy account. They can take the course. They can take. I mean, we have a scheme where I say, if you read a book and write about it, you will get 2 books free. Okay, and but not many takers. Frankly, I mean, there are 1 or 2 takers for that. And I am very happy to give those 2 books for whoever it's completing that. And recently also we had a context where we said whoever kind of presents something on a GitHub Copilot, writes code on a GitHub Copilot and makes a presentation, they'll get some gifts. So environment can only facilitate you, but it's up to you to ensure if your learning stops. I would say, for a lack of a better word, you are dead. Okay, you cannot. I mean, you will kind of start complaining about everything around you instead of looking within you and seeing how to grow. Learning is the only thing that has to keep you going,
That
and there is today enough information out there to keep your curiosity alive 24/7. You can be curious about many things and how that works. Just don't stop that curiosity.
That's so true. I really like that you added the point curiosity in this whole advice, because yes, if you're not curious about anything, how you would be able to be, I would say, consistent in learning that particular thing. So if for example I'm curious about Web3, so then only I'll be able to explore Web3 nicely.
True.
So I really like that you added this. So thanks a lot, Sundar, for joining in for the today's podcast, and it was really really glad to have you. And I have also added Sundar's socials in the description below. You can connect with him, have a conversation, have a really great chit chat, because he is very great in explaining the like doubts, the queries, and also the technology.
Thanks for having me. I mean, you can reach out to me for any further queries. I mean, I happy to work with people who wants to kind of go fast in anywhere. We can, with our age, we are slow, but I have seen youngsters are very fast. I would love to work with them.
That's so true. Okay, see ya. Have
Thank
a
you.
good day. Bye bye.
Have a great day. Bye.